We started this discussion in the last 2 weeks. What is the purpose of life? And the reason that it is important to reflect on this issue is that as human beings we forget. We are forgetful beings. So it is important to remember, to remind one another, and to continuously reflect on what is the purpose. So we want to lose the track of our trip on this planet. When we go to the Quran, there are different answers for this question. One verse says, لِيَعْبُدُونَ وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. The purpose of life is to worship God and to serve Him. Another verse says, لِتَعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. The purpose of life is you earn knowledge. So you realize that everything is possible for Allah. Another verse says, أَنْشَأَكُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ مِنَ الْأَرْضِ وَاسْتَعْمَرَكُمْ فِيهَا. He created you out of this earth, so you continue to cultivate this planet. Cultivation. So you make it better. You go through construction of this earth. But the verse that I chose, and I was talking about last 2 weeks, was إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً. Allah said that His purpose was to have a vicegerent on this earth, this vicegerent of Allah who represent Him and is acting like a deputy for divine on this earth. And the question is though that how can we get to the point and have access to this position to be vicegerent of Allah? There is a password for that. And the password in English has 4 letters, Adam. It's A-D-A-M. To become Khalifatullah, we must become Adam. And to become Adam, to get this password, we must have a certificate of purity. If we can get that certification of purification of our soul, then they give us this password. But we have to show that certificate. And we cannot receive that certificate if we don't win what the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, called him Al-Jihad Al-Akbar, the bigger jihad. Obviously, Allah, out of His mercy and His compassion, He armed us with enough energy and enough arm to win this war. He gave us the weapon of wisdom, al-aql, reason. He gave us al-wijdan al-akhlaqi, the moral conscience. And He also created us based on al-fitra. Al-fitra, that means that pure, original consciousness or original purity. So we have al-aql, al-wijdan, al-fitra. These are our arms to win in the battle called al-Jihad al-Akbar. But also He helped us not only with al-takwiniya, al-quwa takwiniya that I mentioned, but also at-tashri', al-hidayah al-tashri'iyya, and that is al-wahy, revelation. So he provided us with al-hidayah al-takwiniyya, al-hidayah al-tashri'iyya, both original and also the message, so we can win in this jihad. But what is the problem? Why is it that despite of all this help and guidance, still we fail to win this war? Well, the problem is that so many of Bani Adam, they chose to stay dhaluman jahula. These are really two qualities that defeat us. Dhalum from dhul means sighatul mubalagha, means somebody who is very oppressive, is different from dhalim. And jahul means mubalaghatul jahl, very ignorant. So when Banu Adam, they chose to be dhalum and jahul, unjust and ignorant, despite of all the verses in the Quran, 250 times Allah warns us about dhulm, injustice, in the Quran. There are more than 700 verses in the Quran about ilm. So we fight al-jahl, the ignorance. So he does encourages us. And even the name of this book that he sent to us is Al-Quran, min qara'a. And qara'a in Arabic means both to read and to recite. But the purpose of reading and reciting is reflection and understanding. Because رُبَّ طَالِ الْقُرْآنِ وَالْقُرْآنُ يَلْعَنُهُ. There are so many people who are حفاظ القرآن and they are snothering innocent. So they didn't get anything from the Quran. So why is it that human beings, they prefer to stay dhalum and jahula, continue with ignorance and injustice? Well, the main reason is حب الدنيا. حب الدنيا رأس كل خطيئة. The love for this material, that is the real cause. And it targets even the most purified people. Somebody like Ka'b ibn Sur, min Zuhad al-Basra, a very nice man, very pure. Every day he fasts, every night he prays. Very, very famous. They call him Mustajabu Da'wah. People want something, they go to Ka'b ibn Sur and, Ya Ka'b, ud'u lana. Please ask Allah, I have a haja. That's how pure this person was. When the Maraka Jamal started, the Battle of Jamal, Battle of Camel, he was shocked. He said, is it possible that somebody may fight Amir al-Mu'mineen? Didn't this guy read the Quran? Almost 300 verses in the Quran talk directly or indirectly about Imam Ali. How is it possible that somebody fight Amir al-Mu'mineen? It's impossible. That's how he thought. But then Talha wa Zubair, they heard about Ka'b ibn Sur, and they came to him with a bag of money, a dirham wal dinar wal dhahab wal fidda. So the man looked at it and like he's saying that, are you joking? You can, buy my faith with one bag of, dhahab and fidda, gold and silver. So they did not give up. They made another bag of dirham and dinar, and another one, 2, 3 of them, and he looked at them, oh, lots of money, lots of money. Then he said, what do you want me to do? And then they explained that, we want something from you to support the commander-in-chief of Jamal. And it's unfortunately that the wife of the Prophet is, leading this operation. This guy, Ka'b ibn Sur, he came to a group of people and said, Ya mashar al-azad alaykum ummukum, فإنها صلاتكم وصومكم. Is it this lady that you see? She's your prayer and she's your deen and she's your fast. Everything is her. Just follow her. Well, this guy, unfortunately, he joined those forces and he was killed. And Imam Ali realized and he saw what happened to him. And it was very sad for Amir al-Mu'mineen to see that people, they go to that level of selling our soul for this dunya. And this is why even jihad, any kind of jihad, if it was for dunya, worth nothing. جاء رجل لرسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله فقال يقاتل للمغنم يا رسول الله. What if somebody is going to jihad for gain material, غنائم, like to gain booty of war? والرجل يقاتل للذكر. Somebody is going to jihad, so he's going to be remembered. وَرَجُلٌ يُقَاتِلُ لِيُرَى مَكَانُهُ. Somebody is doing the jihad so people look at his situation and his position. فَمَنْ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. Which one, Ya Rasulullah, is really al-mujahid fi sabilillah? فأجاب عليه الصلاة والسلام قال من قاتل لتكون كلمة الله هي العليا فهذا هو الجهاد. So those people who are going for maghnam or going for a dhikr or going to mughiyat or position, none of their jihad is jihad. Another person said, Ya Rasulullah, yuqatilu shuja'atan. You want to say how courageous I am. يُقَاتِلُ حَمِيَّةً. He fights out of temper and rage and asabiyah. وَيُقَاتِلُ رِيَاءً. He want to show off. أَيُّ ذَلِكَ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. Which one is jihad? The same answer. مَا قَاتَلَ لِتَكُونَ كَلِمَةُ اللَّهِ هِيَ الْعُلْيَا. The one who puts the words of God, the pleasure of God, before his own pleasure and before his own dunya. And this is the real jihad. Jihad comes from al-jahd, from al-juhd, hard working. Internally, resistance against hubb dunya, against greed and selfishness and ego and anger and sexual temptation. This is jihad al-akbar, jihad al-nafs. And then al-jihad al-asghar, external jihad, it is resistance against injustice and for the sake of truth, for the sake of God. Ridwanullah. The goal of the real jihad is Ridwanullah, not Ridwan al-nafs. If somebody is doing it for his personal pleasure, that is not jihad. But if someone does it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not even for 72 virgins in heaven. First of all, I haven't seen anything in the Quran saying that, you know, there are 72 virgins in heaven. And if somebody really even do the jihad for that reason, still that is kind of personal pleasure. It's not for the rid Allah. It's not the pleasure of God. For personal pleasure. The real jihad is so pure that the person does it to serve, to sacrifice, to help, and to get attention of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Oh God, I just want you to be happy. I want to serve the truth. I want to serve justice. I want to serve what is right. That's all in my mind, nothing else. That is jihad. So those people who do anything for not Ridwanullah, but for personal gain, for booty, for position, for demonstration, doesn't matter what is their slogan. Whether they do it in the name of Islam, in the name of Christianity, in the name of Judaism, in the name of communism, in the name of Marxism, in the names of secularity in any name is the same thing. Just by saying that I do it in the name of God, but the intention is the individual ego and individual greed and individual selfishness. It is about me, it's not about my Lord. That is not jihad. You know, for many of us who are old enough to remember like 20 years ago, the youth, you don't remember, like 1995, everybody was waiting for the new centuries. And said, oh, new centuries is like something new. We thought that 20th century was a bad century. 200 million people were killed in 20th century. 200 million people in the First and Second World War and in other regional wars. Yes, 200 million people were killed. We were hoping that the new century is a century of civilization, century of peace and justice. But then all of a sudden 9/11 started, and then Afghanistan, and then Iraq, and then Syria, and then now in Yemen. What happened? Why the 21st century is getting the same direction of 20th century? Hubbu dunya. Hubbu dunya. Those guys who are sending now F-15 to kill those innocent poor Yemenis who don't have even clothes, who don't have even shoes, who don't have food, who don't have shelter, and they bomb those innocent people. Who are these? These are the same Bedouins that 50 years ago, 60 years ago, they didn't have anything. And you go to Hijaz, they were like, all of them, you want to go even to Mecca, the thieves, they are, stop you, and before you get into Medina and Mecca, they leave you with nothing. These are all these guys who are forming now the Saudi government, and the Gulf countries, they didn't have nothing. Even some of them clothes, they used to, some of them have like the leaves of trees to cover their nakedness. They didn't have even gumash and cloth. And now all of a sudden, they got this oil and they get this money. But Zalum and Jahula, unjust, ignorant, Sufaha al-Ummah, and especially the new one in Saudi, now they put a new youth, 25 years, 30 years old, a spoiled guy, not real education, not real experience of the reality of life. And now they have all this money. $43 billion is the Saudi military budget for a year. It is just much more than India. India has $34 billion. But 1 billion population, $34 billion. And Saudi with almost 20 million population, $43 billion budget of military. Now, they didn't have use for it. Now they find a use. Let us go and bomb Yemen. What is the reason why we are bombing these poor people? Well, they love Iran. Oh, that's all their guilt. They like Iran. And they hate Al-Qaeda. They hate ISIS. So this is enough to go to bomb them. And something even more embarrassing is that our government officially helped them. My goodness. These are the Saudi corrupt regime. You forgot about 9/11. You forgot about their support for terrorism, ISIS and all these terrorist groups. You forgot about all these foolish fatwas of their so-called scholars. And you heard about the latest one. I don't want to even bring that filth to the atmosphere of Jummah and Khutbah about this kind of fatwa, and you heard about the airport in Jeddah, unbelievable, unspeakable, with those two Iranian youth who went for the Umrah, now at the airport. And they were taken to the room and they were abused, and long story. So how is it that our government is supporting? Well, it is about oil and it is about oil. Because our own government here, a budget of $700 billion, military budget of United States. If you combine all other industrial and most powerful armies of the world, like China and Russia and Britain and France and Italy and Japan, all of them together, their military budget is not $700 billion. So America by itself spending more money on military than the entire 9 most powerful armies in the world. And half of it is the tax money that, from the people, half of this money. So the only way to justify this $700 billion is to have more war, to bring more oil as a blood of industry, but the price is the blood of innocent people over there. And this is why we remember when the angel said, أَتَجْعَلُ فِيهَا مَنْ يُفْسِدُ فِيهَا وَيُسْفِكُ الدَّمَاء. Well, now you are going to bring someone who brings so much corruption. ظهر الفساد في البر والبحر بما كسبت أيدي الناس. Corruption all over, in the ocean, in the air, on the earth. Is not only threatening human beings, it's threatening the animals. There was a report on the ocean, there is disease even for the fish. Fish is dying and the starfishes are dying because an unknown mysterious disease in the ocean because of all this pollution. And on the land, certain animals like the lions and tigers and elephants, they are disappearing because of fasad fil ard. And then you come to human beings, then you see all these diseases that, used to be just one person has cancer in the entire city, everybody knows. Now you look almost on every family, either they have some problem or next door, they know somebody with cancer, they know somebody with obesity, they know somebody with diabetes. And I was reading something really scary that by 30 years from now, 1/3 of Americans are going to suffer from diabetes. 1/3! These are really threatening stuff. Autism in the kids. You know how many it used to be like if one person, a kid was suffering from autism that everybody knew in the town. Now it's 1 in 50. 1 out of 50. Slavery that used to be like a slavery, we finished slavery. Now United Nations says that slavery is like never in history human beings as much as slavery and human trafficking as today. Human trafficking. And it says 80% of it is sexual slavery. ظهر الفساد في البر والبحر بما كسبت أيدي الناس. I was talking with this Detroit Association of Neighborhood. They were like 150 people, non-Muslims in the mosque. And there's something good about America that they want to have a meeting, they come to the mosque. None of us are there to welcome them, by the way. If one of us go to a church, you see 50 people around us welcoming us and showing love and passion. But they come to the mosque. And I was listening to them. I heard words like rape and murder and assault and arson and burglary. Yeah, these are things that are happening now in Detroit. That is hubb dunya and failure of human being as dhalum and jahula, that we face all this corruption in the nature, in the ocean, in the air, on the land, in the society, in morality. So there is really a need for al-jihad al-akhlaqi, wal-jihad al-ilmi, wal-jihad al-siyasi, wal-jihad al-iqtisadi, wal-jihad al-ijtimai, wal-jihad al-fikri, wal-ahammu min dhalik al-jihad al-nafsi, mujahidat al-nafs. This happened in Detroit. But it happens, you may say, oh, Detroit, like, not enough security. You heard about London, the city that like has camera, one of the cities in the entire world that in London, they have cameras everywhere, at every corner of every street and market, cameras all over. Just a few days ago, in East London, there was a burglary case that they stole $300 million worth of gem. They went to one of these companies that this, you know, the business, those who deal with jeweler, they put all of this on the weekend. They put it in that company as like safe deposits. And these guys, they went to that area, and the news says that the wall is a thick of 2 meters. 2 meters wall. But they drilled, they opened, and they opened 70 safe deposits. And they stole a jewelry of $300 million worth of gem. This happened in London. So when the angel said, لِيُفْسَدَ فِيهَا, they know what they were talking about. They knew that is حُبُّ الدُّنْيَا. I told this group that they were in the house of wisdom, and some police people were with them. And I said, yeah, you are saying that you arrest them, you take them to the police department, you take them to prison. You keep them for a while in prison, but they became expert in stealing. And they come back. And it's not the end of the problem. We need to find a real solution. We need more education. We need more purification. And this is the role of us, brothers and sisters, as Muslim community, to become more moral, more serious, more creative, more contributing, more organized, and more helpful for the society, and be more representative of our faith. We have the Quran. Let us share this legacy with the people. We have the character of Prophet Muhammad. We have Ahlul Bayt. We have Fatima al-Zahra, alayhim salam. We have these legacies, and we need to share that. And we have good things in American society as well. You know, Martin Luther King was from this country. Malcolm X was from this country. There are so many good stuff in this country as well that we can learn, we can share, we can communicate, we can work together, we can listen to one another, we can talk to one another, so we can get the good things from Islam and good things from America and put it together and fight what is evil, what is ego, and represent what Quran wants us to be ulul azm and ulul albab. And starting from Friday is important. You know, when I'm so encouraged to see more youth are coming to Salat al-Jum'ah. Let us promote Salat al-Jum'ah, that Yawm al-Jum'ah is our Eid. Yawm al-Jum'ah is the day of congregation. Even take it seriously now that summer is coming, and you know, I know that many of us like to have t-shirt and jeans, and nothing haram with that. I mean, you can come with, you know, any clothes that it is normal in this culture. But when I go to the churches, I see on Sunday, people come, they have nice suit, and they are like ready, like they are going to a big reception. So that is what we need to do. خُذُوا زِينَتَكُمْ عِنْدَ كُلِّ مَسْجِدٍ. خُذُوا is صيغة الأمر. It's an order. خُذُوا means Allah is ordering us that when you come to the mosque, especially on Friday, خُذُوا زِينَتَكُمْ, have your best clothes in an honorable way. perfume. You know, there is a hadith that the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, "Man akala basalan aw thawman aw krathan la yadribna masajidana thalathata ayyam fa inna al-malaikata tata'adhi mimma yata'adhi minhu banu Adam." He said that when you come to the masjid, don't eat onion and garlic and leek. If you eat this, especially at that time they didn't have gum and other things, he said don't come to the masjid for 3 days. Because if it hurts people, it hurts the malaika, the angels. So Yom al-Jum'ah is the day that we dress well and we smell well and we are motivated to come to Masajid Allah and we bring zina. What is zina? Al-mal wal-banun zinatul hayat al-dunya. Our mal, our wealth and our children, they are zina. Quran said, bring your children. That is it. And bring your wealth. Contribute to the mosque. Help the mosque. And let this service continue and be a good example. May Allah protect you. May Allah bless you and bless your family. May Allah forgive us our shortcomings and guide us in the Sirat al-Mustaqim. And may Allah protect people of Syria, protect people of Iraq, protect people of Lebanon and Palestine, Afghanistan, and all the oppressed, all the deprived, all mustazafin. May Allah bless all of them. And may Allah guide and stop these criminals, Sufaha al-Ummah, Dhaluman Jawla, the Saudi, to stop them, to stop this insanity that you cannot take the love of Al Muhammad from people of Yemen or any nation. You are just embarrassing yourself. You are going to even be more compassionate and more passionate to what they believe and what they love. Look at Iran. I was reading a report that 14 million women in Iran, they are called Fatima. Fatima al-Zahra. 14 million. Either Fatima or Zahra or Tayyiba or Tahira or Mardiya. Either one of the qualities, one of the sifat, Sayyidah Fatima alayhi salam. So Saddam killed or injured more than 1 million Iranians. But what happened? What happened to Saddam? And could he take the hope of Ali Muhammad from qulub of mu'mineen and mu'minat? They failed. The Saudiya, they are going to fail. They are fooled to be put in the position that they are. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and yansura شعب اليمن وشعب المظلومين والمستضعفين والمؤمنين في يمن في العراق في العراق في سوريا في لبنان وفي كل مكان. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. صدق الله العلي العظيم. وإلى الصلاة إن الصلاة تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.